Okay, this is a little bonus section to criticism. Why? Because I want you to do a little exercise. Because if you don't do an exercise, if you don't really get this, you won't use it. And I really want you to learn this, because this has helped me out so many times. And it's also helped me to help my children when they come home. When my kids were young and they would come home crying because a friend said this, or a teacher did this, or a coach said that, I was equipped to help them through this process of really seeing the criticism for what it was, finding the little gold flake, but at the same time dismissing the sand that stung so much and getting rid of the water that was cold and jarring. And so I'd like you to do an exercise right now. Get a pencil and paper. You can stop the video till you get the pencil and paper. Okay, now you've got a pencil and paper. I want you to think back. Let's think of a more recent criticism. I can think of criticisms clear back into my childhood. But let's not go there. Let's think of a hurtful criticism that you may have received in the last month. And if you live such a blessed life that you haven't received a single criticism in a month, go ahead and think further back. But write down that criticism right now. And next to it, write down the person who gave you that criticism. Okay? It has to be a criticism that actually stung, that actually hurt your feelings. And I know guys aren't supposed to have their feelings hurt. We may not show it, but our feelings get hurt just as easily as a woman's feelings get hurt. So write down the criticism, the critic. Next to that, we're going to start to do this little exercise. What was their qualification to give that kind of criticism? Are they your parent, a brother, a coach, an instructor, a friend that really likes you, a friend that really cares about you? What's their qualification from that point of view? What's their expertise? Do they really have expertise in the area that they criticized you? Write that down. How about their motive? I have been criticized by people that hate me. I have been criticized by people who dearly love me. I've been criticized by everybody in between. Now we want to look at take that criticism. What was the basis? And we have a PDF on this you can look at. What was the basis of that criticism? Was it emotionally based? Just the emotions were running high or in the moment, and so it was all emotion. Was it based on their past experiences, or maybe their past failures? Was it based on their lack of understanding or fully comprehending your goal, your intention, your vision, your motivation? In other words, did they make that criticism because they really didn't understand the big picture? Okay, you need to write that. Was it based on conventional thinking? They live in a box. Maybe if it was from a parent, they live in a generational box that was the norm for their generation where they grew up. But it's not your norm. It's not the norm for this generation. So, and if they're a conventional thinker and you think outside of the box, was it based on that? Was it based on logic? Okay. Was it based on logic? And finally, was it based on the realities of the situations? Are those realities changing, or are they fixed? So that's something you can work through. Now we look at the criticism itself. First of all, what was the water? Think of the exaggeration, okay? In my boss's case, the exaggeration was, you will never succeed in marketing. And it was an exaggeration to think that I was the biggest disappointment in his entire career. Those are exaggerations. That's the water. So write down the exaggeration in the criticism. Okay? Now we look at the sand. What in their criticism hurt you? Actually hurt your feelings? Think about it. What was the actual hurt? And write that down. Okay? That's the sand. And now comes the good part. Let's look for the gold. Was there, no matter how much exaggeration there was, no matter how bad it stung, is there even a little tiny piece of gold? Something that they were reacting to that was a negative in your character, your behavior, your manner, how you said what. Maybe they reacted to something you said. Maybe what you said was absolutely true, but did you say it in a kind way or did you say it in a harsh way? What did they react to? If they reacted to the harshness with which you said it, then the gold is finding out that I need to be less harsh and more kind, even when I communicate a criticism. Now, that takes us, you've written that out, find the value. What you can change that might have prevented them from criticizing you so harshly. More kindness, more patience, more compassion, maybe more understanding, maybe being less judgmental to them. Those are all things that we need to watch and bring under control. Maybe self-centeredness. Maybe you were being selfish and they're a selfish person and they reacted to your selfishness. Whatever it is, find the gold. That's critical. Now, the other thing I said I would do in the last session, and we didn't, was to show you the right way to criticize. Most of the time, criticism is not warranted. Correction may be warranted, but correction can be given without criticism. For example, if you're telling an employee, you did this and that was good, but there would have been a much faster and more efficient and effective way to do it if you had done this. And so next time, why don't you try doing it that way? And that's not really a criticism, that's correction. Now, if they receive it as a criticism and they say, well, you just don't understand. You know what the response is to you just don't understand? Zip your lip and open your ear. And if you really want to honor them, and that's our goal, is honoring people. If you really want to honor them, you pull out a pencil and a pad and you say, okay, what didn't I understand? Okay, oh, that's a good point. And you write down, okay. Now, so that's more correction, not criticism. Criticism is really correcting a person or creating their behavior, their attitude, their words, their manner in which they deliver those words. But when correction is needed and a criticism is needed, there is one right way to do it. And this is, Gary Smalley taught me this, and he said, I've seen people criticize my whole life. Most of the time, the criticism, if it is warranted, is given completely wrong, okay? So I would recommend, before you give a person a criticism, number one, you pray about it. Ask God how he wants to help you, because the goal of a criticism is improvement in the other person. For example, maybe you have an employee or a peer that they're very condescending in the way they talk to others. And those other people have come to you and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe how condescending this person is. It's really, so you're going to have to give a criticism. Okay, here it's called the sandwich method. Number one, it's two pieces of bread with some meat in the middle. The bread is genuine praise, not flattery. Not, hey, you look really nice today. That's flattery. But praise would be, one thing I've noticed about you is how you do this and this. And I've always appreciated it. Man, it's an example to me. And it's an example to others of the right way to do this and this. There it is. Now you transition to the meat. But you know why you use genuine praise? Because you're calling attention to something in them that they have control over that is praiseworthy. Maybe the person's always missing deadlines because they're a beaver and they want to be perfect. So what would you say? You would say, you know, what I really appreciate about you is how thorough you are and how you just want to gather all the information before you make a decision and before you take action. And I wish I had that much patience that you show in gathering that information. Now we transition. Recently, you took a little bit too much time and we missed a deadline because of that. And I was judged by my superiors because we missed that deadline. And they judge our whole department. I didn't call you out on it or anything, so you're safe. But it was detrimental to the performance of the department. And we need to do things that can help you deliver on time. So now I've given the criticism. And I might take it a little further and ask some questions. What do you think we could do to help us be more on time next time? And the person said, well, I didn't have all the information. If you want me to be on time, give me more information right at the start. You write it down. Okay, that's a great one. Or nobody told me the specific details. They just said, get this done. And I need details because there's a dozen different ways to do it. You listen and you write down, okay? This is the right way you're going to give criticism. This is going to benefit the person. Your criticism should always benefit the person you're criticizing them. It should never be detrimental to them. It should help change their attitude, behavior, their actions for the positive, which is going to reflect good on them. Okay, now you finish off the criticism with, now we have another slice of bread. Remember, it's a sandwich method. With praise. And so you might say, you know what? We made a mistake this time. We missed the deadline. I'm going to work with you on the next time to make sure we don't miss the deadline. And we'll work as a team. And based on some of the things you've said, I'll give you more detail. I'll do this, I'll do that. But let me just close by saying how much I appreciate your thoroughness. How I know when you make a decision, it's going to be the right decision. And yes, it delayed us this time. We'll work on that. But I want you to know I appreciate your decision-making process. I worked for years with a man who became one of my dearest friends in life. He was the producer of my TV shows. I wrote and directed, and he was actually the producer. He was in charge of getting the sets, the set decoration, the locations when we did location shoots, casting, wardrobing, lighting, sound, crewing. The guy's amazing what he did. But he is a beaver, and he would tend to slow me down. And yet, if I sped him up too much, our shows wouldn't look that good. They wouldn't turn out that good. And if you don't have a great looking show, you don't get a celebrity in your next show because they can remember how bad the show they saw was such and such a celebrity. So this guy and I had a working relationship. I always had to clearly communicate our deadlines. And then if he was slowing down, he'd say, hey, we got a problem because I got to do this, 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 and this. Then I would come in as his teammate and we'd work that out. But he was a beaver, high beaver. I'm a high lion. Lions want to get things done quickly. Beavers want to do the right things. We made our deadlines. We always made our deadlines because of me. But our shows were spectacular in their production values and their looks because of him. And that's how teamwork is. That's why we need to know each other's personalities. I don't think I could ever give Frank a criticism that he wouldn't appreciate. And he would certainly not be afraid to give me a criticism. And usually we'd all end up laughing about it because we had such a great relationship. When you use the sandwich method, when you're slow to criticize and quick to help, relationships grow. And that's what we want. Here at NUMMI, we want great relationships. We don't want people to suffer at the hands of their peers or other people. We want to be a family. Families have conflict, but we're learning the right ways to deal with those conflicts. See you next time.